Hey guys, the question today is I've been single for a while and finding it difficult to cope with not having a relationship and using bulimia to fill the void because it's the only thing that gives them the same intimate relationship as being in a relationship with an actual person. I'm going to challenge that a little bit because, okay, number one, I've been in a relationship for 13 years, and I'm going to tell you that even if you're in a relationship with, when you have an eating disorder, nothing quite fills that void as the eating disorder because it feels like it's so much a part of you that that it just it creates the security. It feels like you have a friend. It feels like you always have somebody to turn to. And I think this is true whether you're in a relationship or not. And I think the feeling that I need a relationship to fill that void, if you're in a relationship, it may fill that void temporarily, but nothing is going to fill that void if you are not secure within yourself. Because even if you're in a good relationship, I would consider myself to be in a great relationship. If you have those underlying insecurities and feelings of loneliness, those are going to carry over even when you're in a relationship. So you may initially feel nostalgia, and when when you first meet somebody and there's that excitement and energy, but the longer you're in a relationship with that person, the more you get to know that person, and it's not that you don't like that person anymore, but if that's all your relationship is built on is that nostalgia, it'll fizzle out and die, because once that nostalgia leaves, that loneliness is still going to be there. And so I think the way to approach that is to look at it like you have been in a relationship with your eating disorder for however long, whether it's 2 years, 15 years, whatever it is, and the prospect of losing that is very scary and will and most likely lead to a lot of grief, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay to look at what your eating disorder has done for you as well as what it's not doing to serve you. It's obviously doing something to help you to fulfill the needs within yourself, or you wouldn't be doing it. We don't do things unless we feel like there's a perceived benefit for it. So, it takes a lot of time to find other ways to fill that void, and I don't know really. I think there's nothing that can fill the void in quite the same way, but the more you get skilled at finding ways to cope and feel secure within yourself, because you know that you have the strength in yourself, the more different I guess connections or brain connections, you will get feelings of satisfaction and being able to fulfill those needs without your eating disorder. But it's going to be different, and it's going to be an adjustment to because it's anytime you're doing something that's not the same as you've always been doing and you're adjusting, it's not going to feel comfortable, and it may take a long time for it to kind of settle in, and that's how life is. So I think surrounding yourself with support in whatever way you can, whether that's a therapist, a group therapy, an eating disorder anonymous group, friends, family, whatever you can, that's really the best thing you can do. Because let me tell you, if you get into a relationship while you're deep into your eating disorder, it may be a good relationship, but it's also likely that it's going to be unhealthy to some degree, it is more likely that it's going to be a relationship based on somewhat on codependency, based somewhat on giving somebody else your power, because that's what you are used to doing with your eating disorder, is you are deferring the feelings and the responsibility that you have within yourself to honor your feelings and your needs. And when you're and it's a common, I think it's a common human error that we do that, because we like to be able to give credit to somebody else for making us feel good or taking care of us. And I'm not saying that's always bad to have that, but it also is kind of an out sometimes in saying that, if something happens and it's this person's fault. And I think sometimes we do the same with our eating disorders. If something happens to us, or we are not totally up to snuff and are afraid to face things, it's our eating disorder's fault. So I think, there's some of that there. Don't misinterpret when I'm saying that we are humans, we need relationships, and we need intimate relationships, but we need to do it in a way that we are okay and insecure within ourselves, and we are going to allow relationships in which we can respect the person and they can respect us. And when you're in the middle of your eating disorder, that can be very difficult. And for my relationship, when I was really sick, it was very straining on a relationship, because it's hard to have an intimate relationship with your eating disorder and also let the other person in, because it's such a secretive illness. And so you're not magically going to say poof, the eating disorder's gone, and give that attention to the other person just because you get into a relationship, unless you work out those feelings within yourself. It's likely to be there. It may be latent for a while, but it's likely to be triggered, and the other person will feel like they are basically that you're dating your eating disorder and leaving them behind. I would recommend reading, if you haven't read it yet, Jenny Schaefer's book, Life Without Ed, where she talks about going through a divorce, even though she's never been married, going through a divorce with her eating disorder. And it's kind of a good look at what we do with that relationship with our eating disorders. And also she's coming out with a new book in September, I believe, that's called Goodbye Ed, Hello Me. But the basis is you have to find yourself and not look for that void in another person. Because if you can do that, if you can climb that mountain, no matter how long it takes, and it is painful and it is hard, and I know that, but when you can do that and you can be okay with yourself no matter what, then you open yourself up for having wonderful relationships instead of more heartache because your relationship is complicated by the eating disorder. And if you're already in a relationship, going through that recovery process can really strengthen your relationship and getting the eating disorder that causes that great division out of the way. So I hope that helps, and have a good day.